So order, masculinity, chaos, femininity. I'm not off board on that. I'm not over. I'm not away from that. I just think we need to. And I'm not saying you. I'm saying that we people need to tighten that up a bit. Right. we definitely need to tighten that up a bit. And because also I think the chaos piece is almost like in pole position in society right now for me.
Yeah, we are into an extreme.
Yeah, and to me, it's the job of the orderly people to open up the boundaries and stop being so strict and being so narrow. Because the answer at the end of the day for me is order. Let's not get it. Order first.
Otherwise, nothing else works.
Right.
It's like we've had anarchy before. Even the anarchists were like, okay, this is too much anarchy. Nothing is working. I am going to implement order with my fist. Something is going to go my way because I tell it to. I'm like, see, order. Even they were like, we can't have just that.
Yeah. So, but the people, then this stop going too far with the order. And really, this relates to the conversation that we had. And when I was saying, like, don't take the ideas too far. Take them only as far as they need to be.
Yes.
Do not project out too far. Because what you're doing is you're totally in the imaginary world now. You have no evidence for.
We don't have evidence for, and it's fun to do R&D, but you have to do some risk management here. You can't just like commit 100% into the ether without any breaks. Like, don't drive off the cliff. Let's get close to the cliff. Look over. Maybe one person can do a little reconnaissance, but we don't have to drive up to figure out what's out there. Let's do this stepwise, please.
Good. Yes, and that's difficult because people just don't. I don't know why it is that I'm just trying to kind of articulate the way I'm seeing the world. If I'm coming from a perceptual world to the conceptual world, and I'm saying like, hey, all of these concepts better relate to these perceptions. And if they don't, then you've gone too far. So go down the road until you see the end of perceptions. You see concepts, and then you still see perceptions in the back. But if you don't see perceptions anymore, then you've gone too far.
On the right. Some more things we got to do over here.
So because it's at the end of the day, and this relates to why people get mad. It's all about men and women and these ideas. It's your fault. You're the only person who we can look to. If you aren't managing the people well, if you're not giving them space to express themselves within a framework, it's your fault that they now have blown out the walls of the framework. We need order, and we need you to put the guards in the right places so people can feel free within order. Mm-hmm. This is your job.
It's literally why we hired you, literally why we gave you this position and gave you this authority. You have to do this way.
Yes. And we need that. And it does not help us to just be super strict for no reason. It doesn't. But it doesn't help us to have total full out chaos. It doesn't help us to do that either. So
extremes are helpful, but some of these extremes are known. We know this is not helpful because we have tried it this way.
Yes. But I think people are just so fearful. It's like, well, what if I let everything go, then what could happen? And to me, this is why we need to bring the conceptual and the perceptual closer. And you need to start being comfortable with that. What do you call it? A gray area? It's just things are happening so fast. It seems like a gray area.
Right. But how we interpret it. Like, it's impossible. I hear you. It does seem hard. And you definitely don't know if it's ever worked. But it does seem like someone's making it work. So let's do some research and expand our definition of possible.
So yeah, that's what I want to see. And yeah, the chaos thing, I can't deal with the people who just think like, oh, this thing could be anything. It could be this, that. Wait, What? I need.
when they use that as a virtue. And they're like, look how crazy I can make this. I can make this completely chaotic where nothing makes sense. I'm like, you can do that. And that makes me a good person. See how incredibly creative I am? Like, you are really creative, but see, you can't use your creativity to do anything helpful. So that makes you, and this is key now, useless. Like, I want you to feel specific now that you failed at your responsibility to be a human. You didn't take your mind and use it to make something useful or better. And so if you're not going to apply your mind to reality, then you're not going to get any of the benefits of reality. That's one of the things I can't stand about artists. I'll stop. Let's just say that I really wish people would apply their minds to more useful pursuits by finding problems they could solve in reality for both themselves and others. That'd be really, really great if we had more of those things.
Yes. Damn, I was going to go a lot of places with what you just said. Oh, but then you hit me with the artist piece. And I'm like, that's the perfect example. Like, this is what I mean about we're just not operating the same. I didn't want to have to pull this up. It's about to jump in a second, but I just want to pull, what is this? Because this is related to the introverted, extroverted view of life from a rational standpoint, in my opinion. And this is kind of Jung's perspective and a little bit of my perspective on top of it. Because he's more or less saying, like, to give a little background, his thing was before when there was the division between the empiricists and the rationalists, then, what's his name? Abelard developed conceptualism, where it's like we had the thing exists out there, but then we have this definition of the thing too. So these things work in tandem. And he was saying, like, well, Abelard's solve to the problem was an intellectual problem, was an intellectual solve. So he showed bias there too. But what the hell else are we supposed to do? This is pretty much what he's saying. It's like, we got to pick one of these sides. And so this is what I mean about order, concepts, straight lines, picking the side. Yes, there will be order, but got to leave some space for people to have that freedom, right? And so it's kind of talking about what I just explained a bit. And it's like this dichotomy not only illuminates the diverse ways introverts and extroverts relate to the world, but also the challenges in bringing their perspectives, especially in manners where logical and moral judgments intersect. Introverts deeply intertwine the logical and moral dimensions of yes or no, right or wrong, with each decision reflecting a broader principle stance. For extroverts, these decisions are more about navigating the concrete realities of the moment, where the universality of principles may take a back seat to the pragmatics of action. This disparity highlights the necessity for mutual understanding and respect for differing approaches to life, acknowledging that both perspectives bring valuable insights into the collective discourse on ethics and rationality. It's like Jung acknowledges this contribution of extroverts in modern society. Quote, we can, of course, establish that the extrovert is socially useful, that he has made great contributions to the progress of human society, and so on. But any analysis of his resources and motives will always yield a negative result because his specific value lies in the reciprocal relation to the object and not in himself. The relation to the object is one of those imponderables that intellectual formulation can never grasp. And so it goes on. This is Jung quoted again. Intellectual criticism cannot help proceeding analytically and bringing the observed type to full clarity by pinning down its motives and aims, which I'm saying that this is not we should be doing. But this, as we have said, results in a picture that amounts to a caricature of the psychology of the extrovert. And anyone who believes he has found the right attitude to an extrovert on the basis of such a description would be astonished to see how the actual personality turns the description into a mockery. Such a one-sided view of things makes any adaptation to the extrovert impossible, meaning that just let them do them. We're not doing what they're doing. We're just letting them do them. right?
And apply a long-term standard to a short-term thinker.
Exactly. So, in order to do him justice, thinking about him must be altogether excluded. While for his part, the extrovert can properly adapt to the introvert only when he is prepared to accept his mental contents in themselves, regardless of their practical utility. Intellectual analysis can help, but attributing to the extrovert every conceivable design, stratagem, ulterior motive, and so forth, though they have no actual existence, but most are shadowy effects leaking from the unconscious background. Just want to get a couple more pieces real quick because I think this is relevant. And so I'm just like, while Young offers a detailed explanation of the limitations of the intellectual criticism and accurately assessing extroverts, let us focus on the elaborate on the final part of his statement. The phrase intellectual analysis cannot help attributing every conceivable design, stratagem, ulterior motive, and so forth to the extrovert illustrates how intellectual scrutiny tends to project its own interpretative framework onto the subject, thereby creating an image that may diverge significantly from the subject's true nature. This projection by analytical thinking often introduces unnecessary and unwarranted assumptions, constructing a narrative of complex motivations or strategies where simple and more direct intentions may exist. And then I get into the overgeneralizations. So it's like, but for instance, consider the tendencies to make overgeneralizations about individuals based on a single aspect of their identity of behavior. One may unjustly assume a gay person a pedophile, or they may deem someone who eschews cultural norms to be a bad person simply because their actions or identities diverge from the norm. These prejudiced judgments, much like the caricatures created by intellectual criticism of extroverts, arise from an inability or unwillingness to appreciate the depth and diversity of human experience. They reveal a failure to understand that deviating from the norm is not inherently indicative of malintent or moral failing, but is often a manifestation of genuine individuality and personal choice. Such examples underscore the critical importance of approaching each person with an active, inquisitive mind from unwarranted assumptions to truly grasp the richness of their character and motivations. I think this is one more piece. I don't know. So it's like the phrase shadowy effects, and hold with me because I think this is relevant, right? It's the phrase shadowy effects leaking in from the unconscious background implies that if an extrovert does exhibit complex motivations or designs, these are often not the result of deliberate or conscious planning, but are more likely incidental, arising from subconscious impulses. They are not central to the extrovert's approach to life. They are peripheral, almost accidental, right? And so my whole point in saying all of this is that rational people ease up. That's my whole point, because you're trying to take it too far. And this is why I like ethics, or what I consider to be ethics and governance. Just don't let yourself be put in harm's way, and stop worrying about what could be down the road. You have to adhere, and part of the reason why what could be down the road is a harm to you is because you're not letting the people learn how to operate on their own. You've made them dumb because you've solved every problem. And now when they start wilding out, then it becomes a detriment to you because you've created a group of people who never had to deal with things. So it's not helpful. It's not helpful to always be saying, oh man, we got to do this like this and shrink the boundary, shrink the boundary, shrink the boundary. It's not helpful to anybody. It's just not. And I get it. It is going to cause you to make different decisions. You are going to have to be a little bit tougher and let people deal with the consequences, or you're going to have to not like people are going to have some issue. Like they're going to have troubles, and you can't fix everything for them because it's not helping them deal with trouble.
And you got to play some defense now. You have to be more aware. Like, hey, people are going to F up and they're going to end up in my lane. I'm going to have to be aware that this is a risk.
Yes, that's a thing too. But at the end of the day, long term, that is a better way to deal with this thing. Because other people, you say what?
I hear you. It develops people. They have to get used to exercising this muscle, otherwise they can't get stronger.
And that's my main point. And because I think, and even myself being one of those, I think I'm probably on the more rational side. Like, because you hear me trying to be prescriptive. You hear me I'm guardrail heavy, but I'm just saying that open up the guardrails. Oh, we can't let the people do this. Yeah, you can. Why you can't let them do that? Because one day they may hurt themselves.
They may.
Or maybe one day they may hurt us. Well, yeah, okay. That's a fair thing. Maybe one day they will hurt us. Is this is this probable? Is it? We know it's possible, but is it probable?
Right. And decrease that risk. It's like without prescribing rules for all of society. Like there may be other ways to navigate this than top-down societal enforcement of rules.
I think you're going to get that, but it depends on how it comes out, man. It really depends. How it's about where we put the guardrails. There will be guardrails in a good society. Right. Where do we put them? Why do we put them where we put them? And that's my point.
Yeah. What is our hazard proof within them? Yep.
Yeah, man. So I was trying to get that out. It's probably a bigger point, but
cool. And it's definitely something that's worthwhile to, discuss in further detail, to be like, this is the thing you've seen. These are the examples when it went well. And this is like, applying it to a real situation helps create the clarity that we need. So yeah, maybe next time we'll do a little something there.
I like that. But let me put one more in there. That is why I like ethics, because that's the only place where any of this matters. Yeah. This is the only place where because I want to live my life fully. And the only boundary is really my interaction with others. Like, if it's not my interaction with others, I just die. It's just me.
You in reality, just like, well, this is apparently where the human beings stop. Apparently, can't leave out in the fire too long. Lesson.
Right. And you just sitting there like, dang, he died. That was.
That isn't here.